Welcome to the Midlife Pilot Podcast. We are glad you're with us. What is it like to become a pilot in your 40s and 50s? The challenges are unique for those of us in midlife, but so are the rewards. Hosts Ben, Brian, and Ted talk learning to fly, growing as pilots, and the joy of flying to destinations. The purpose of the podcast is not to teach, but to share knowledge and experiences of being a midlife pilot. Join the Midlife Pilot community and listen in every week. We are not CFIs or particularly intelligent, so if you want to learn how to fly, talk to anyone else other than the hosts of a podcast. Even this intro was too challenging for us, and we used a robot to do it. Okay, checklists are complete. Let's get the show started.
Hello, and welcome to the Midlife Pilot Podcast, episode 148, where we share the experiences and challenges of flying in midlife. Joining me tonight are my friends, my compatriots, my colleagues, Mr. Siskin. I want to call it the Woo Girl Charlie now, instead of the Bachelorette Charlie.
We are I'm so into this. By the way, tonight we're going to be talking about infrequent flyers. It's like frequent flyers, but infrequent flyers. Now, Woo Girl thing, I'm just going to go ahead and just explain what this is. I just saw online that Nashville, the Bachelorette Super Charlie, is getting some new SIDS and stars and, arrival and departures, procedures. And there's going to be some new fixes, some new waypoints. And I saw that one of them is going to be Woo Girl, WUGRL. So I'm not here to take credit per se, but I'd like to take credit. I feel like that whoever is naming these things is probably understanding that it has been deemed the Bachelorette Super Charlie, and that is the right thing to do, to start theming the waypoints after that. But no, I just thought that was a trip. I also saw that, and this is all internet, I don't know for sure, but I did see a thing that said that Nashville's aiming to be a Bravo, the first new Bravo in, decades or whatever, 25 years or something since the last Bravo, maybe. Yeah. But I think that Nashville might actually be able to do it, which is probably needed. I think they should be able to demote some other Bravos.
Yeah. There could only be 23 Bravos in at one time. So there's some that could be demoted though.
Shout out to Cincinnati. But so anyway, yeah.
Welcome.
But yeah, so Ben, you and Ted. Hi, Ted.
Hi, Ted.
Hey there. I was just writing a note. There's a Wikipedia article about the Class B. It's a list of them, but it has them the traffic in them. So it's always fun to take that and sort it by the most and the least.
What's the least?
I don't know. I know for the deltas though, that one next to OG Chris is that's the quietest Charlie was the one next to OG Chris. Is that Charleston, West Virginia? Clarksburg. Yeah. It has like 25,000 movements a year, which is delta's usually around 100,000. So it's silly small.
Yeah. Like when the number of movements at an airport is comparable to that of which takes place in your own household.
Yeah. I like Nathan's suggestion for another fix. White Claw.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Yeah. So as Brian mentioned, tonight we're going to be talking about infrequent flyers. A little bit different spin on topics that we've covered in the past, but there's some folks out there in our audience who like to fly once a month. That's enough for their daily fix, and we're going to chat about that a little bit.
Yeah.
But before we get into our topic, let's catch up on what everybody's been doing since Sunday a week ago. I'll go last because I've had quite a fun adventure the last 8 days. Who wants to go first?
I'll just say mine because it's easily the least exciting, and then we can go in order of excitement. Sort of like number of movements. Airplane. Strut collapsed. Strut fixed. That's about how that goes. And that's all I'll say about that.
Yeah, seals. These struts got to have seals, and they got to be put on properly, or they got to have the right one on there, right?
Hey, like I said, it's all good. But
I'm always envious of your struts and what it does for making landings look more or feel more beautiful. And then I see something like that where the nose is dragging in the ground. Like, okay, maybe it's good. I basically have zero suspension.
Actually, I don't know. I think the struts actually keep you from getting as greasy of a landing as you can get, like you can in a Cessna where you got the leaf springs or whatever those things are called. Because they just kind of ka-chunk a little bit. You know what I mean? There's a little bit of I don't know. What's really fun is that when I'm doing my call out, taking off, I usually go, okay, well, making good power. Right. Gauges are in the green. Speed's alive. And right about that point, I'll realize that I'm up on one strut on the runway. It takes some strange feat of physics to get everything happening at the same speed to where both struts will just kind of be in harmony. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So other than that, I've just been IFR studying, man. Just IFR studying.
Yeah, I've seen some of your notes on that, and yeah, it's a thing. Yeah,
it's an initiation process to allow to be flying in the clouds. That's how I see it. That's how I don't know that you can talk me out of that. It's just an initiation process. It's like joining a fraternity.
Yeah,
you've got to be hazed before you can fly in clouds.
But it's like you have to memorize the rule book. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's been good. I'm starting to have some progress and momentum and don't feel like a complete idiot. So
just a mediocre one.
That's right. So looking at mid-November just to get this written out of the way, and I'll feel better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ted, what you been up to?
Oh, not too much interesting. I did have, it seemed like my CFI always liked saying, oh, there's a coyote on the runway, go around. And that was always the example that he used. I was cleared for takeoff. I'm at a towered field. I was cleared for takeoff, and I started hustling down the runway, and takeoff clearance canceled. There's coyotes on the runway, or a coyote. So, thankfully, there's a busy helicopter school at my airport, and so the helicopters were kind of wrangling them, or at least monitoring them until they got a truck out there to take care of it. But that was kind of fun.
That's weird because at McCollum, we had our flight on Saturday. There was a coyote in the grass we were warned about, and we landed at Greenville downtown. We were warned about a coyote in the grass. And you've got, I think, what is it, like mating season for the coyotes now? I don't know. It just seems like I'm hearing a lot of instances of coyotes at airports, and maybe airports are their breeding grounds. I don't know.
The other thing that I had, which was kind of a unique experience for me, was I had 1215. I was just monitoring it on the second channel, and because I didn't know what channel I was going to next, so it's like I may as well leave it on that. And heard somebody. It was clear they were from one of the local schools, and say they were at 500 feet and landing in a field. And I thought, oh, somebody accidentally broadcasted their practice emergency descent. Well, it wasn't. It was real. And to hear ATC immediately pop up, hear my local controllers pop up on frequency, to hear other pilots pop up, and somebody was relaying, since they were on the ground, nobody could hear them. Somebody was relaying down to them and back. And it was cool to hear that, like the proper experience.
Wow.
I was like 50 miles away, but yeah. So it seems to have ended well, from all we know. First of all, it didn't make it to the news or to the crash reports. And looking at their track, the practice area is in a great spot for farms. So yeah.
That is something that will absolutely catch your attention no matter what you're doing in the cockpit. When you hear that you hear the record scratch over loudspeakers there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we got some new listeners in the chat. We have John D says, I'm also starting IFR now. Of course, I'm just doing ground studying right now. And he's asking the question, are you using Shepherd for written prep, Brian?
I had looked at Shepherd and dabbled. I experimented with Shepherd in high school. And
did you tell the FAA about that on your medical?
You didn't inhale. That's all.
That's right. And here's where I am with this Shepherd situation. I am already at a point of not disgust, but disdain for the instrument knowledge test, because so much of it, you hear, every CFI, double I, every pilot, they're like, yeah, but I mean, well, here's the thing. In the real world, you're not going to that's never, so you just start to realize, wow, this written test is mostly not real world. And so that's already hard enough. So to then go another layer, to then abstract it into just memorize these, code sequences of things or keywords or I don't know, whatever. I can do rote memorization to a point, but it has to be applied to something, even if it is mostly something you're going to not hold on to. So I just decided to not do the Shepherd thing because for me, it just doesn't work. Now I can appreciate that a lot of people are smarter than I am and can use it. I found it harder to figure out how to use Shepherd than to just learn the stuff and figure out the nuances of how they're trying to trick you on the test and the distractors and all the things, and just slow down a little bit and just actually know the stuff inside and out. And then it's not as huge of a deal. So that's my answer for, am I using Shepherd? I didn't love it.
Also said, no, you could have just done that, but that's not nearly as fun. We've got a podcast to fill.
Yeah.
And I want to hit our friend Wendell Geek's comment here when we're talking about fixes. I do think you should reach out to our ATC friend, Scott, and see if you can't. I mean, SSK and D would be great, but even better would be a MPPOD. If we could get that fix in there, that'd be a pretty big coup.
Yeah, or just like MIDLF.
Yeah. So tell us about your experiences lately, Ben.
Yeah, so I'll go in chronological order. So multi's going good. We've knocked some rust off. So I want to give a shout out to my CFI instructor, Delaney. CFI MEI is what we'll call her. And then the other instructor is Dan, who's also the DPE, but I'm doing most of my training with Delaney. And they're a really good combination. So Delaney and I spent some time, knocked off the rust, kind of got the landings back into control. And then I went up with Dan. And then Dan just said, I'm turning the fire hose on. We're going to go have some fun. Take off. He's got all the circuits. I mean, all the fuses are right in front of him on the co-pilot side. He can have all kinds of fun with me. And we did a pre-takeoff briefing, applied full power, nice and even, got everything going. And he pulled the circuit breaker for one of the fuel or the oil pressure gauge. So I looked at the panel and I said, gauges are in the green, but there's a very bright white light under the oil pressure gauges telling me that it's in op. And he was like, you on was it? He goes, nobody ever gets that. I went ahead and took off because I thought everything was fine. I said, all the gauges in the green. And of course I missed it. He said, you were so close. You almost got it. If you would have just actually looked at it instead of having expectation bias, we would have aborted takeoff, whatever. But then, man, he hammered with everything. I did a single engine pattern, which is a lot of fun for your designated leg. I did a single engine approach under the hood.
Cool.
That's a lot of fun. I did some crosswind landings, single engine. I mean, it was a lot of work and it was a lot of fun.
Did he ever pull the brake lights?
So the brake lights,
gear lights.
So I will tell you what he did do though, that I did catch, proud moment. Single engine, and we're in the downwind, and he pulled the gear motor. But the warning lights were on. So our pattern is you midfield, you drop the gear, and I dropped the gear and we're beamed the numbers and it's still the in transition light. And I'm like, something's not right. We need to, we're not going to land. He goes, well, what's wrong? I said, oh, look, you pulled the circuit. He goes, well, fix it. I pushed it back in and we landed. So, you know, I was getting a good bit right. My landings were terrible. The side picture change from going from 182 to the Duchess is crazy. When I'm landing in the 182, I'm putting the center line just outside my right leg. In the Duchess, it's right in between my legs because I was landing right, you know, on the left half of the runway. He goes, what's wrong? I'm like, I'm putting the center line between my legs or between where I think it should be. He goes, no, it needs to be in between your legs. And then ever since then, it was right in the middle. So,
is this preparing you for when you're out on your own in a twin and when anything goes wrong, you're just going to go, well, which fuse is that? That's the only thing.
Exactly.
Only thing that goes wrong.
Exactly. However, it does help you combat the expectation bias. You run through all your flows.
Yeah.
And you're expecting everything. So it does help with that.
I've got to hit Zach's comment here. He says, do you still have to pay the multi-engine rate if he keeps cutting you down to one?
Zach, we're gonna take that up with the team. Half off, baby. I absolutely agree with that. So that was Friday. Saturday, met up with a local listener, a French pilot in Georgia. He also did a debrief. His name is Lucas. He and I met up with AJ and a couple of AJ's buddies. They got a new club plane. They got a Cessna 206 for their club. And so we decided to fly up to Triple Tree in formation by way of Greenville downtown. The weather at Triple Tree wasn't good, so we went up to Greenville to have brunch and then hopped in the planes and went down there. So flying formation, I've flown loose formation in the past, but this was in pretty tight. Fingers as we were in tight. And I was lead, which is the easier part. So but yeah, he did some cross unders and I let him get ahead of me, and then he did a breakaway, and then that was cool. And then we also flew formation down to Triple Tree, and we did a low overhead pass over the runway, and then we did a break and came on in. Very low turn. Go ahead.
Is that a former cap plane?
It is.
Okay. I wondered.
It is.
I saw the picture and I was like, I don't know what the deal is with the cap plane. Yeah.
Ironically, the way we're parked at McCollum, there are cap planes a few down from where they park. So it looks like it's part of the cap fleet.
Yeah.
But it's actually the airplane.
Yeah.
You know, Triple Tree's one of my favorite fly-ins. Landing on a 7,000 foot grass strip is always a fun time. It was a low turnout just because the weather was low. It was marginal VFR. We were kind of scud running from Greenville. It was only 30 miles. And
how low was it?
It was 2,500 feet. So we felt comfortable enough doing that. So, but like I said, there was a low turnout, but it was still a lot of fun hanging out. And then, coming back was very uneventful, and we landed, and I get ready to get out of the airplane to put it away, and my door wouldn't open. So I got to pretend like I was a Cherokee. All entry and egress is now out of the co-pilot side. Now we're getting that worked on, but yeah, it's been a kind of a crazy couple of days, but fun.
It goes back to that. Everybody always says, you know, when one door closes, another one opens joke about the.
Other than that, it's good.
It's a pretty good Cessna.
Yeah.
Now.
When one door closes, when one door closes, use the other one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully it works too. So
did you feel kind of cool going out the right side? Like this is pretty Cherokee style?
I felt like I am so glad I have two doors in my airplane when they both work.
I mean, even your windows open up enough to probably climb out.
No, that thought did go through my head. I also thought about going out the cargo door, but it was just much easier to slide out the right side.
Nice.
Maybe at the next Midlife Pilot podcast fly-in event, we have some sort of a competition where it's just, you know, like how can you even climb out your baggage door, or something. I think for midlifers, we would struggle to do anything that's non-standard.
I'll start doing my yoga practice now to get ready for that, because that's what it would take for me. And I will say, though, well, the Duchess has doors on both sides. So, but it's, I still think it's easier getting it in the high wings. I just think they're built better for that.
My brain can't understand the Duchess has doors on both sides. I'll have to go look at it.
Yeah, it does. It most certainly does. So a couple of events and announcements we want to get to. Don't forget, there's the Music City Stole, which I'm pretty sure Brian's going to be attending, and I am going to make every possible effort to come up for it.
Yeah. And I'll be going to probably Friday to the Swift fly-in at Mike, India, Athens, Tennessee, where the Swift Museum is.
Is Stole the following weekend?
No, yeah. 11th? Yeah, it's the 11th or somewhere around there.
Okay.
We try to keep these episodes evergreen, but basically just go look stuff up. Music City Stole. If you're anywhere near here, please go. It is really well done event, and definitely go ahead and get familiar with it, because Ben is going to be competing in it next year, because I'm going to make him do it.
Okay.
We'll get you a helmet for Christmas, Ben, and there'll be nothing else that you need.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a helmet, but I don't think it fits. Somebody gave me one, and I don't know why they gave it to me, but and also we haven't really done anything, but other than we know we're going to have a fly-in, another Midlife Pilot Podcast fly-in next spring.
Probably April.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we're thinking about
where to be determined, but
we're thinking about Japan.
We do appreciate our friend Bo suggested a spot. It was like on the northern border of Canada, within or very close to the Arctic Circle. And it sounds amazing, but
I mean, he checked it out.
He did. He checked it out himself. He flew up there, said it was an amazing trip, but that may be logistically tough for a lot. I would say maybe the majority of our listeners.
Yes.
I think I love hanging out with him at the fly-ins. He's such a blast. He's such a kid. Yeah.
Great guy.
Great suggestion. Wish we could do it. Who wants to handle this next bit here?
I'll go ahead and take it, and then we'll go to housekeeping, and then we'll hand it off to Ted. So we did get an email. We read our feedback, and we do want to respond to them. And we had a listener provide correction. We've boiled it down a little bit, cut it down for time, but we want everybody to know we got some feedback from someone who clearly knows what he's talking about when it comes to lean of peak. So we did not mean to overstep or offer any bad information. So during that lean of peak discussion, we just, we want to be transparent with everybody. At the same time, we're not here to take sides on the debate. We don't care. It's just we're trying to present this information. So maybe we can just say we may have got some things wrong. That wasn't our intention, and we do apologize. We really don't want to get into the merits of either side of the topic. If you think we got it wrong, you're probably right, and we offer our apologies.
Yeah. So we are a podcast of people that are not instructors, not mechanics. And I think that we try to give as many disclaimers as we possibly can, probably annoyingly, but I really do appreciate the feedback. But I can appreciate also that when we're talking about engines and things, there are safety considerations that, but people are going to have opinions and thoughts about these things. And, everybody, each side of the argument is right, according to them. So go to the source, go check out Savvy, go check out Mike Bush, go check out anybody else but what we're doing.
Basically, the question is, when you're talking the lean of peak, rich of peak, what are you talking peak of? Are you talking cylinder head temperature, exhaust temperature, and details related to that? And that is beyond our level of knowledge. And it is, we'll let experts handle that.
But what I love is that we titled the episode "The Third Rail of Aviation."
Yes.
So we knew, that even talking about this on any level, it's a fine line between sort of opinion and fact and all that stuff. So please be skeptical of all of your aviation information sources, namely this one.
Yeah.
And we kind of pride ourselves on not being credible or knowledgeable.
It's a reminder of how unknowledgeable we are. Yeah.
Yes. But appreciate the feedback. I mean, it's great to get. Yeah. I mean, that's awesome. So please feel free to tell us how stupid we are all the time. I don't care. All right. Housekeeping. Join our Patreon community for Discord access and lots of exclusive content. There's a new check ride debrief up that is really good. Probably one of the most valuable things about our Patreon for sure. 10% supports Freedom Aviation Network's anti-human trafficking efforts, and for everything Midlife Pilot podcast feedback, if you want to send us that, if you want to get some merch, anything else, go to midlifepilotpodcast.com. Everything is there. If you want to subscribe, you want to get on email lists, you want to throw eggs at our houses, we have our addresses on there.
Yes.
Come on through midlifepilotpodcast.com.
Interestingly,
just real quick,
all of our addresses are at Brian's in Nashville.
Exactly. Emilion was who we did the debrief with. He's in, I believe he said he was in Brussels, and Belgium. And it was a fascinating discussion. So definitely, if you're a Patreon member, check it out. If you're not a Patreon member, join us. So
yeah. Speaking of Patreon members, we've got some new ones I want to thank and welcome. At the Landomatic level, we have Bruscott D. Bruscott. At the Hershey Bar level, we have Jay, and we have Bradley N. So welcome and join this band of clueless middle-aged pilots. In Discord this week, the one thing that I noticed was Checkmate Barry said that he hit his 4-year anniversary of flying, I believe from Discovery Flight to today, and I'd say things have escalated quickly in his world. So he has a beautiful 182, and he has Checkmate Aviation. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, be mindful who you send an email to. Like a special request if you're buying an aviation product.
Yeah.
You might end up just owning the company.
Buying it. Yeah.
Good call out. Thank you, Wendell Geek. Emilio's debrief won't be released until mid-October. So if you're not a Patreon member now, then wait until mid-October to join then, I guess, is what he's trying to say.
To make it slightly more confusing, our CAPS level gets a little bit of inside access, and so they get them immediately. So that may be why you were thinking that that's probably. As we've seen the link being popped around. So thanks, Wendell Geek, for doing those.
Yes, absolutely. They're very well done. So tonight, I was going to, if it's all right with you guys, I'm just going to read the feedback from our listener. And kind of set this up as to where our discussion is going. Does that sound okay? He says, "Hey, gents," and I can only mean he was talking to me.
This is already a problem.
Yeah.
That's not accurate.
Yeah. Well, maybe for me, but hope all is well with you. I don't know if you're taking ideas for podcast subjects, but I've got one that might resonate with some of your listeners, and it does. So we're going to reuse it for our topic. I have to think there's a whole class of pilots out there like me who are infrequent flyers. For whatever reason, we just don't get up in the air very often. I think being in that category creates a completely different approach and challenges to flying, staying proficient, risk assessment, decision-making, evaluating our own skills, and at least for me, getting over imposter syndrome when I'm surrounded, even virtually, by GA pilots who fly more in a month than I might fly in a year. The thought hit me when I was listening to your most recent episode and Brian mentioned being on Mount Stupid for the first 200, 300, even 400 hours. It got me thinking about how I'm spending my time on that mountain, how I'll probably be camping there for years at my current rate of flying, and how that impacts everything I mentioned. Maybe there aren't tons of us infrequent flyers out there, but if you think there's a decent number, it could be an interesting topic for them. Anyway, just a thought for you to consider or toss in the circular file. We're not tossing it in the circular file. I know personally guys, and we all have partners who fly once a month.
Yep.
And it's just, it's their thing. And I'll go ahead and say it. This came to our from listeners, Chris C, a longtime Patreon supporter, very good friend of the show.
Yeah.
And I appreciate him submitting that very much.
And he's an avid flight simmer. So
yes,
we see him in our Discord for that as well, which is pretty cool.
And he actually fit into my airplane.
He's a tall dude, isn't he?
Yeah.
he is a tall dude.
Yeah. It's one thing that I try to kind of emphasize is we're not here to compare hours or planes or accomplishments. You're not a better midlife pilot because you fly more hours. You're not a worse one because you fly fewer hours or because you don't fly at all. That's fine. And so I really appreciate that Chris wrote about this. And I want everyone to realize that is it doesn't matter how many hours you fly. We're all in the same group, right? We're here by age, not by hours flown.
I think it's similar. I used to, as I've mentioned before, I used to be an avid runner, and I used to try to improve upon my times all the time. But one of the things I quickly realized is that for 99.99% of us in aviation, as it was in running, somebody's going to have more hours and flies more, and there's always going to be people that fly less or not at all. So, you're comparing yourself or having that imposter syndrome. It's just, you kind of have to figure out a way to get over it, because everybody, listen, there are millions and hundreds of millions of people in this country that don't have a pilot license at all. So you're flying more than them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, I also just would like to get to some of these points, specifically about the challenges in terms of staying proficient, risk assessment, decision making, evaluating our own skills. I think stepping back, I just want to say, how cool is it that you can be an infrequent flyer and have such a healthy mindset about, or point of view about being that, understanding what are the components of that, and be thinking about it in a way that is conscientious to begin with. Because I think that already puts you, Chris, in a different category of pilot than I would say a lot of others might be, where they are infrequent flyers, but they don't even necessarily acknowledge that they are infrequent flyers, and thus are not being cognizant of those risk factors or proficiency considerations or any of that. So I think that that's a huge thing. Kudos to you just for even thinking this way and the way that you posited this question. And I do think that there's probably some things that are, what is the uniqueness to that approach, being aware and thinking about things on that level. And I think that, I've been pretty aggressive about my time, but I'll say that for me, one thing I can say that if it was a suggestion, we've all of us become infrequent flyers at some point for some reason, because money, time, airplane, weather, life, whatever. So this infrequent flyer thing as an identity is something that we all dip into at some point, whether we like it or not. And I can say that for myself, I have definitely had some spells this year where, some of the longest spells, 3 months or whatever of not flying because of airplane and other things. And I think that number one, being active in our Discord where there's a healthy attitude and outlook, and even though people are on different levels, and there might be some conversations that are going way deep about things that aren't really your problem or whatever, nobody's giving any attitude to people that are less frequent flyers. It's all for the love of it. Also, just it's a never-ending field of study and curiosity. So there's a lot of things that you can be doing that are feeding your knowledge. I know that, like Ted said, you're an avid flight simmer. That's something that I haven't even done yet. And I mean, that's legitimate. I mean, you can get on, whatever VATSIM and a good simulator and have some pretty good, experience continuity kind of things going on. So, I don't know. I just wanted to address those things right away, just to say thanks for the message, first of all, and for being aware enough that these are considerations, and that being an infrequent flyer is not a dilemma. It's just a different lens to look at things through. You're still part of this, and you're still having all the fun that we are. Just you're spending less money, and you're smarter than we are.
Here's with regards to your comments about camping out on Mount Stupid. It's going to probably take you, if you're flying once a month, it's going to take you a little longer to build in the muscle memory. I remember when we first got our airplane, as I've mentioned many times before, my brother-in-law is an airline pilot. So, but he did not have the proficiency in the 182 that I did. And he would ask me within the first, year of having the airplane, he wanted me to go up with him because he didn't have the proficiency. And until he had spent over a year flying once a month or once every 2 months, that muscle memory really didn't kick in until after a year. So yeah, I don't want to say that you're on Mount Stupid, but just appreciate or just understand that you're going to get there. You're going to get to that comfort level and get away from that imposter syndrome if you just keep chipping away at it and continue to fly once a month, but stuff will start sinking in.
Yeah. And I really wanted to speak to the evaluating your own skills piece of this, because it does take a certain amount of awareness to evaluate your own skills. And that is part of being a pilot. And that is part of the whole process. Also important to know when to hold them and when to fold them and when to just go, okay, time to fly with an instructor. I'm sure, Chris, that I think I even have recollection of you telling stories in the Discord at various points where you've just realized that that's the next thing that needs to happen. So that's a proper balance to keep. And then in the sort of intermediate, flying with other pilots, even without the responsibility of flying, but maybe doing some CRM with them and just doing the radios or whatever. I see a lot of pilots that really don't fly enough with other pilots. And I think that is one of the most beneficial things that I've ever done. You don't have to like everything that they're doing. You don't have to do it the same way. You don't have to, everybody's kind of got their own way of doing things, but you're going to learn something from every experience that you have, even if it's, I'm never flying with that guy again. And that's why I haven't flown with Ben. No, no, Ben, okay. Ben, you're one of those early influences on me to be like, oh, this is how you actually do it. Okay, great. I'm going to start doing that. But,
even though it was wrong.
Yeah. I learned it from you, Dad. but,
cats in the cradle. Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, I just think that all of it is, just a cool, I like this idea of just saying you're not somebody that's rusty. You're somebody that is consciously, willfully not flying a lot, but flying a little.
Yeah. I have to hit Wendell Geek's comment here. He said, if you invite someone to do the radios, though, they might try to combine Lucy and the Beast into a hybrid tail number. That is, it's a good thing it's not a drinking game. Flying in someone else's plane, if you're an owner or you've been flying one plane a lot, you realize how ingrained that is just to immediately respond with a tail number. So, yeah, I agree, Mark.
It's with multi-training, it's pulling me out of the calling every airplane 42911 because now that's the only plane I've ever flown.
Exactly.
Well, so
it's almost like it should just be your serial number as a pilot, right?
That's right. Yeah. That's what it feels like. So we got a comment from Zach. He says, taking a break every once in a while can also be a good thing. I fly the same aircraft each time. Sometimes when I sense myself getting complacent, it's good to take a few weeks off to resettle. I couldn't agree with that more. And honestly, when I have, I'll say this right now. the sight picture in the Duchess and the 182 are completely different, and it's affecting my landings in the 182. And I might take a little bit of a break out of the 182 and try to forget my bad habits, so to speak. I don't know. So it's a great point.
The 182 doesn't like flaring at 18 feet.
It's not that. You know what? The 182 can flare at 18 feet. It's the Duchess that doesn't feel like it's flaring at all. It is flaring, but with the no nose, you feel like you're flaring, and you're still going to land on the nose gear. So it's just completely different.
Yeah.
I think one thing I wanted to hit you with, Ben, about this is I'm sort of trying to make a little pendulum here, but there's a lot of people that are instrument rated pilots that don't really fly instrument a lot. And obviously you have stop gaps there in terms of currency. And, if you're out of, IPC, all of the things that are regulatory. But forgetting all that part of it for a minute, there's probably a lot of people that don't really feel like a very capable instrument pilot, even if they are passing the test, doing the currency requirements and those things, because they just only do it so much. And so they're being mindful. They keep their minimums reflect that. They're not, looking for 0-0 takeoffs or anything. So what do you think about that? I think it's a great question. I think that there are IFR pilots out there, and I feel like this is probably a West Coast thing. And Ted, please correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a lot of people that get their IFR to poke through the layer, going out and coming back in. Outside of that, they have no IMC time whatsoever. And that's fine. I think that's great. You have a tool in your tool bag now that you can use. I think if you do that in a lot of other places, specifically like in the Southeast and then in the springtime, or even in the winter, quite frankly, when you're flying in IMC for an hour at a time, you could get yourself in trouble. So I think, I don't think it's wrong either way. I just think that there's some people who are using it as a quick in and out. They're going to log 15 hours of IMC over the course of the year. And then there's going to be people that are going to log, 30 hours or 50 hours in the course of a year.
It's whether it's 0.1 per flight or more.
That's right. Yeah. And so it's what you set yourself up for, I guess, is the question.
So for some, it's a TSA pre-check.
Yeah.
So as someone who's had their instrument for quite a while, do you notice that your skills in that degrade faster? If you were an infrequent pilot flying IFR, how would that change?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I said this pretty early on, after I got my IFR, maybe 6 months after I got my IFR. It felt like, because it's hard to beat IMC time. It's just, you can't replace it. So if I had a marginal, and my minimums were, 300 or 500 feet above the approach minimums. So my only opportunity to stick with those minimums is finding a marginal VFR day and pray to God that, you can find a day where you're in clouds beyond the final approach fix so you can at least log it. But at least, even if you couldn't, you're still getting that IMC time. And that was a big thing for me, is that if I had a marginal VFR day, I'm going up. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to make it happen. It can degrade. And it's the same as with your private. When you don't fly for 2 months, you're going to have to go out and do some pattern work to get your landings back down. When you go a couple of months without flying IFR, you're going to have to rebuild your scan. You lose kind of that, all the flows that you normally do. After you've flown IFR for a couple of years, it becomes more second nature. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Well, I think that's true about flying VFR as well. Like when you were about it the longer you have it built in, the longer you can go in between it. If you think about being a student pilot where even a week hurt, 2 weeks was kind of death. And the longer you've been flying, the longer those breaks can be. But it sounds like that's still true for IFR.
Yeah. And then again, you can always get a safety pod and throw the hood on. It's not the same, but it does retrain your brain to start doing those scans again. If you do it with intentionality, you can keep that proficient, not the currency, but the currency and the proficiency. And that's the number one thing you're trying to do, is just to keep the rust off. So
VFR flying is like breakdancing, and then IFR flying is like cotillion.
Okay.
I need to process that for a minute.
Yeah,
so breakdancing and cotillion. Okay.
You mean I can do neither? Yeah.
I'm in trouble because I got no rhythm whatsoever. So, but no, it's just, again, that's my one man's opinion.
And you're sticking to it.
I'm sticking to it. It's my story. And I'm sticking to it.
Well, thanks, Chris, for sending us that.
Yes.
I really do appreciate that. And this is a great reminder to everybody that, yes, you can send us messages and then we will talk about them and it'll be fun and everyone will be happy.
Yay.
Yeah.
So, what's next? We're going to do the confessional.
Yeah. And so this is another thing where we're trying to round these up from folks, and it seems like people don't really want to confess anything anonymously, which is fine, but we've got Ben for that. So Ben, what you got?
Yeah.
I recounted I think I saw somebody on YouTube doing a wrong surface landing. And I had my lovely bride and one of my children in the plane with me when I had a wrong surface landing. And I was just going to kind of talk through how it happened, if y'all are okay with that.
Wait, what happened? What's it called?
Yes.
Wrong surface. I landed on the wrong runway.
Okay. I thought it was just like not like gravel that wasn't to your liking.
It was rubber. It was a rubber runway.
There's an EMAS.
So this occurred, and I filed an AS report. And it's not, obviously, it's not confidential because I'm the one telling the story, and I'm not going to pretend like it wasn't me. So this was at Echo Victor Bravo. And for our friends in the chat on this live stream, which you can catch most Monday nights, 8 p.m., youtube.com/@midlifepilotpodcast.
Yeah. So let me show you the diagram. Again, this is Echo Victor Bravo in Florida. And if you're listening to this and you're driving your car, just let the car do its thing and look in ForeFlight because you've got it on your phone. Look in ForeFlight, look at the diagram. Now look up because the car in front of you stopped. Anyway, please go look at this diagram when you have a minute. But we've got it shown for people on the screen. You can imagine there's 3 runways. There's basically an X with 2 runways. And then at the top or the bottom of that is a single runway at 45 degrees to the X.
Okay. Let me set this up for you. At the end of runway 7, there's a flight school there. Believe it or not, in Florida, there's flight schools.
Which runway is runway 7? I don't see. Oh, I see over there. Oh, geez.
Yep.
Okay.
It's the single runway.
There's a Cessna holding short at 7 at that taxiway. And there's also a Cessna holding short of runway 11 north of the runway. Okay.
It's pretty nearby. Yeah.
Yeah. So the approach end of 7 and the approach end of 11 are not that far away.
Yeah.
So I was cleared to land runway 7. Okay. And then I hear the controller say Cessna cleared for takeoff. And I'm on the midfield downwind for runway 7. And he said,
left downwind?
No, I'm going to right downwind. Okay. No, I'm going to left downwind. Sorry. Left downwind for runway 7.
Yeah. Okay. So off to your left, you're parallel to 7. Yeah. You also see 11, which is at roughly a 40-degree angle.
That's right.
And which is still just off to your left. Yeah.
That's correct. So when I hear the controllers say Cessna cleared for takeoff, runway 7, I see the airplane on runway 11 take off.
Mm.
And in my brain, I connected, oh, that must be runway 7. And I was kind of like getting ready to turn a base. And so I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. That looks like 7. And I had bugged it on my electronic HSI. I had 7 bugged, but did I look at it? No, I didn't. And I landed on runway 11. And the controller comes on and goes, 42911, you can exit at taxiway, whatever it was. And by the way, you landed on the wrong runway.
Oh.
And I turned, all the blood left my face, and I immediately came on and said, I am so sorry. I heard that departing Cessna on 7 and I saw it on 11. And he goes, it's fine. Don't worry about it. He goes, promise you're not the first person to have done that exact thing.
Yeah.
It's a strange configuration.
It is. And again, I can say I've never landed on a wrong runway surface since, because I'm watching I bug it and I make sure that I'm on it. And
have you ever seen how they have there's these giant numbers that are painted on the runways.
That's you're right, but as it turned out, when I was making that base turn, I was coming in high and I couldn't see it below the cowling.
Also, here's the point where you've got superiority as a low wing, which is you're in a turn, you can't see the runway at all.
Yeah, when the base, you can't see the runway until you're on final. And when I turned on final, it was below my cowling.
Zach says counts as a circle to land.
I'm going to go back in my logbook and include that there was a circle to land. Thank you, Zach.
Okay, I do
really
have to tell you.
That. Yeah,
my DPE told me she had a reason for this, but make sure that what you have in your logbook, don't admit to crimes in your logbook. Don't say, oops, landed wrong runway, or, well, I can't believe I made it through scud running at that one. These are comments that are best left out of your logbook.
Yeah.
So
that's a good point.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah. I did file a NAS report. I am my own worst critic. And I honestly, so we went down there for a long weekend and it took me a day and a half to kind of shake it off. I mean, I was like, I'm the worst pilot on the planet. I'm surprised we're not dead. So anyway, that's my confession. I feel a lot better for telling the tens of listeners that probably listen to this podcast. You now know.
Yeah. No, we want these things from people. They don't have to be admitting. These are not things that have to be tantamount to NASA report considerations. These can be more innocuous things. So don't feel like that you can't send us these stories because we've all got plenty of goofy little things that we'd like to share with others. So please do that.
And I'm sharing my more embarrassing moment to encourage others we will keep you anonymous. We will not give anything away, where you're located. Again, it's cathartic. It makes me feel better by speaking it out loud.
Meanwhile, if you join our Patreon, we will give you that list. I like it. Your info is safe with us. I mean, we're trying to keep our own noses clean here, much less everybody else's. So, and by the way, as we were just sitting here, one of our greatest listeners and supporters, Chuck K, just in the middle of the shows, editing his Patreon membership to the next 2 levels up or something. So,
wow, thank you, Chuck. Man,
Chuck.
Yeah. I mean, we did already apologize for saying things that were maybe not quite totally correct. I want to thank people again for calling us out on anything, because we're not here to be right. We're just here to have fun. And aviation is a place where we have to be really conscious about safety. And we want to foster that kind of environment and culture and be a part of that ideology. But at the same time, we have to say words that sometimes it doesn't take much in aviation to step in it one way or the other. So appreciate your patience. See, Zach's always got the good T-shirt ideas.
Yeah, Brian, we might need to see what we can generate on this one.
Professional booth themed T-shirt. Okay.
Wow.
We'll work on that. We'll try to make it non-denominational. But that's really cool.
Yep.
I'm thinking the backlit can, on TV, you're going to remain anonymous because your face is just black to the screen with the backlight. And it's like you're
maybe in the
confidential
caption
informer.
it says, "Forgive me, FAA, for I have sinned."
Exactly.
Ted, when you put your hand up behind your back like that for a minute, but so far back, it looked like somebody else was coming up behind you, like some little tiny arm person was about to. See, when your hand's here, right? It's all spherical and huge, right? Look at that, like Shaquille O'Neal. And then back here, it's like some child is about to.
Man, do you remember that in school? It was, if your hand is bigger than your face, sort of thing. Your friends just wanted you to do that so they could,
Smack you in the face with it,
punch you in the face. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll put that on the activity list for the next fly-in.
Exactly.
So by the way, again, so the things that we want people to send us, let's go back through this. Tell us when we're wrong. Tell us about things you've done that are wrong or just dumb or silly or fun, that for our confessional. We also want you to send us your thoughts on where we are to go and all meet up in April. We have a few ideas ourselves, but we would like to have your thoughts on the matter. And hopefully, I don't know, maybe somebody's listening and they go, well, wait a minute, I actually own an airport. Maybe I should, offer it to these guys for the fly-in, and then
I like it.
That way everybody has hangars and, accommodations and all that. So if you own an airport, please reach out.
And, Brian will promise that I'll cut the grass for you or, whatever's needed to be done. Anything else, gentlemen, for the good of the order?
Good. Thanks.
We're ready?
Yeah.
Well, I want to remind everybody, not only for the 43 things that Brian has given you homework on, leave us a 5-star review while you're at it. I mean, if you're doing all the other things, you might as well just go ahead and do that.
Take the day off tomorrow.
Yep. Don't forget to subscribe on your app. I do have some words of wisdom as it relates to multi-engine. You don't truly know fear until you lose an engine and remember you also forgot your flows. And I speak from experience.
Yes.
Signing off. Episode 148 of the Midlife Pilot Podcast. Thank you to everybody in the chat. We appreciate your participation. Look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.